I want to get your take on this because as someone who is a former white-collar criminal defense attorney myself, I cannot think of an occasion on which one of my clients was even close to being put in solitary confinement 2 weeks before, fairly complex litigation in preparing for this. His lawyers are saying it's much more difficult to prepare for the defense. What is going on here?
Well, apparently what happened is they brought, the government alleged, apparently adduced some evidence to the effect that he was contacting witnesses. And so they got the judge to revoke bail. Once he was turned over to the Bureau of Prisons, the Bureau of Prisons made the decision that if you put him in general population, he's going to be an attractive target for the kinds of people who are in general population. Bear in mind, this man hasn't been convicted of anything. So to protect him and to protect the Bureau of Prisons against liability, they put him in solitary confinement. But this is totally unnecessary.
Well,
it is not rocket science to have somebody in a detention situation outside a prison, home detention, and similar kinds of detention, in which he can't get access to a computer or to a telephone. There are people who are convicted of dealing in child pornography who are out and about, who get restrictions on their access to computers and so on. This can be done. It is not rocket science. And it would not be rocket science to put Paul Manafort in a setting outside a prison in which his access to a telephone may be restricted, may be monitored, and so on. It's just this is unnecessary.
Now, and where's the ACLU? I mean, the ACLU has issued the most, condemnatory statements about solitary confinement, that it's essentially its own type of cruel and unusual punishment. A lot of the people on the left want to get rid of it altogether. But, you don't hear peep from them on this case. But, Judge, I want to move on to both Brett Kavanaugh briefly and this idea of a single judge, federal district court judge, something that Justice Thomas wrote about at the end of the term, and one of the big cases, the travel ban case, one judge being able to put an injunction in place that stops a president's policy, whether it's on immigration or on a broad variety of other issues. First, on that issue, how problematic is this today with the federal district court judges?
It's enormously problematic because it's become very much in style for judges to grant blanket injunctions that purport to apply nationwide on the theory that, well, the case before them is very much like the case that is faced elsewhere, and so they're going to apply the rule that they decide to all cases that are similar in all jurisdictions. That procedure is, as Justice Thomas pointed out, ripe for challenge, and I expect that in the coming term we'll see it challenged.
Well, I'm not to toot the horn of my old boss, but I'm so glad he wrote that in his concurrence because it's long overdue that be examined. Now, I have to play this for you. This is Keith Ellison from Minnesota, who was speaking. I guess he was back in his home state yesterday, on Monday, and he was talking about the Supreme Court nominee. Didn't know who it was then, but already talking possible impeachment. Let's watch.
I will say that there have been lower court judges that have been impeached.
Right.
And honestly, there were some things that came out with Justice Thomas that I thought were very concerning to me in terms of his impartiality. And so I agree with Jill. It probably is not going to happen, but it could theoretically happen.
So I don't know if you could hear that, Judge, but
it's hard to hear.
Basically saying, all bets are off. I mean, probably won't happen, but it could. What about that?
Well, it's a parody of itself. He is urging that somebody be impeached because he disagrees with their approach to the law. Is that what he said?
Basically, yeah.
Well, there is a definition in the Constitution of what constitutes an impeachable offense. It's a high crime and misdemeanor. That is, at a minimum, a gross neglect of duty, simply disagreeing with Keith Ellison, I don't think amounts to a gross abuse of duty. The man is delusional.
Well, being an originalist and a textualist is apparently a high crime or a misdemeanor today, Judge Mukasey. That's how bad it's gotten. You heard Blumenthal and company. Judge, thank you so much. It's great to have you on, as always.